John Peters is now the clinical supervisor for Powell, but there was a day. We'll hear his story next.
Open my heart to sing, taking the darkness inside, revealing your light, restoring hope. Open my eyes to see the world through different eyes, revealing your light, restoring hope.
Welcome. It's the 31st day of August in the Lord's year 2015. I'm J. Michael McCoy, and this is Restoring Hope Live, brought to you by Powell CDC. You remember, if you've got that Uncle Bob, if you've got that person in your life, maybe you just spent some time with them last weekend. Maybe the cousins were in town. Maybe it was time to go over and visit your daughter and son-in-law or son and daughter-in-law and see the new grandkids. And oh, my, does Uncle Bob have a problem? And it's talked about. It's always talked about, but just never in front of Bob, except for that one niece or that one cousin or that one brother who is so sick and tired of it because they've been enduring it a lot longer. They just stand up and say, I've had it with you, Bob. You're a drunk. You're a mess. You're rude. You're blankety, 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 blank. And they storm out. And everybody's quiet. And the hush falls over the room because nobody knows what to do next. Now you know. You call Powell, 263-2424. Today you're going to meet two astonishing people. One, you've met them both before. Kim Brangoscio, who you've seen here. She's the, what are you? What's your title?
I'm the manager at Powell.
You're the manager at Powell. All right. And you're going to meet John Peters, who is the clinical supervisor of Powell. And John's got a wonderful story, and we're going to hear that. But I'm sorry, you don't have an excuse anymore when somebody says, I just don't know what to do about blankety blank, the drugs or the alcohol or the food. Oh, food addictions are becoming such an issue, either the lack of or the masterfulness of. In other words, all they do is eat. I resemble that remark. Or they don't eat. And we know who they are. And you don't know what to say. Because an addict, alcoholic, we're liars. And we don't want to talk about it. And we're going to make you feel horrible for bringing it up. And we're going to push you away. So we're going to make sure we don't have to deal with it. Well, you don't have to deal with it anymore. Now you just call Powell, 263-2424. Talk to a specially trained intake, not supervisor, intake counselor.
We have counselors, care managers.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
And you'll get some answers, and all that stress and all that anxiety will just flow away. Because finally, you've got somebody listening to you, somebody who knows what they're doing, somebody who's trained to help you. I'm J. Michael McCoy. If I haven't told you lately, thanks for listening. Love this job. Couldn't do it without you. If you're live on 99.3, The Truth, we appreciate you listening. We know there's lots of things you could be doing at 2:06 in the afternoon, and for whatever reason, you've tuned over to us, and I thank you. If you happen to be watching this live on the webcast, make sure you know Bob Montserrat, the cat in the hat, watching the chat. He's got that chat for you. Perhaps you don't want to call in. You don't want your voice to be heard, but you have passion you want to share. Well, do that through Bob on the chat. Webcast1, O-N-E, live.com. Webcast1live.com. Just click chat. It's that easy. Phone lines are open at 515-244-0077. As I told you, Kim Brangoscio, who is the manager at Powell, is in the studio replacing Lila Stafford today, who's somewhere in the mountains, right?
Idaho.
Yeah, she sent me a picture. It's like a scene from, my favorite Western movie, mountains.
Beautiful.
Yeah. And our guest today is John Peters. John is a clinical supervisor at Powell, which means you oversee nurses, counselors, intake counselors, care managers.
That's correct.
Who don't you oversee?
Kim,
okay. And you've been sober for a little over 7 years.
Yes.
Married, a couple of the beautiful daughters, but it wasn't always that way.
No.
Life was not always sweet and wonderful.
Not always.
Now, can you share with me how old you are?
I'm 38.
Okay. And you said that you're a local boy, East High School, Southeast Polk.
Yeah, we moved around a lot. My family moved around a lot, so I've been to a few different high schools.
All in the local area?
Huxley was about as far as I went.
Okay. All right. And tell me when you first took your first drink of alcohol.
Well, I was pretty young, and it was a boating excursion, and I don't know if you remember this, and maybe they still sell it, but it was Purple Passion and Pink Passion.
Sure.
And so as a kid, I thought it was maybe grape or strawberry pop, and I decided to drink it. And when I got done with it, it was completely gone, and it was a 2-liter sized bottle.
Oh.
Yeah.
Oh, I feel your pain.
So I started out pretty seriously.
How old were you?
I'm guessing, I'm pretty young. I don't remember it thoroughly, but I've heard about it numerous times. So probably 9 or 10.
Oh, John.
Yeah.
You drank a 2-liter bottle
2-liter.
of Purple Passion.
I do remember one of my parents standing there holding the empty bottle, trying to dump it out, saying, this was grown-up drink, and you drank it. But shortly after that, I actually pushed 2 people out of the boat. So
at age 9?
At age 9. They were fishing on the side of the boat, and I pushed them out of the boat, and I would not let them back in the boat. So already, I was just not a calm drinker. I was not a very sociable drinker, so...
And this is a story, I'm assuming, that have run down the Peters family for 20-some years now.
Yeah, I think there's a couple people that know about it. It's a memory that I do have bits and pieces of, so
okay.
Definitely the first time.
And I'm assuming you got very sick.
I don't really remember that part, so maybe it was so sick that I don't remember, but I do remember a few of the feelings I had, the rush, the feel-good sensation, no idea how I felt this way or why, but I was having a good time. So,
and when did you realize you had consumed, what did they call it, adult beverage?
Adult beverage. At that age, I had no idea what an adult beverage was.
Okay.
I didn't really seek more, so there was really no tie to it. It wasn't until I was probably 12 that I actually drank alcohol for a reason. There was a pony keg left in the fridge from my parents' previous get-together with some friends, and it was almost full. And I had a couple friends over, and they thought it would be a good idea to drink it. And it wasn't like the pop. It didn't taste good. It tasted really bad.
Yeah.
But I remember, again, having a blast. I remember having a really good time.
John Peters is our guest clinical supervisor at Powell. Kim Brangoscio, the manager at Powell, is here along with Bob Montserrat, the cat in the hat, watching the chat. And, of course, Frank is producing today, and I'm Mac. This brought to you by Powell CDC. You know somebody to call. You have somebody to call. No excuse anymore. You have somebody to call. And they don't run out in little white coats and drag you away. They sit, they talk, they care, they're passionate. They want to help you. There's no guilt. There's no shame. If you're feeling that, it doesn't come from them. It comes from something within you that maybe you've done something wrong. Well, it doesn't matter. If you're an alcoholic or a drug addict, we do horrible things. That's just what we do. It's what we do. If you want to say you don't do it, then the drug does it. The alcohol does it. Whatever it is, it's not something that is a part of your identity, and it can be changed and it can be corrected. And it will be through Powell CDC. All right, so 12 years old, you drained the pony keg.
Yeah.
Did you get in trouble?
I did, but it wasn't really because of the consuming of alcohol. It was what we did afterwards. So there was 3 of us, good friends at this point, lived a really close life. But we destroyed the house. I mean, having a blast, doing things with no care in the world. Made a mess. Parents came home, which my parents were divorced at this time. So it was basically my mom and her boyfriend at the time came home, and the house was a disaster. So everybody got kicked out. I got in trouble for that. But that behavior pattern, again, not being a very sociable drinker, very disastrous, liking the rush, that's really when it set in that I kind of knew that using something to alter my mood was enjoyable. I was a pretty quiet kid otherwise, really stuck to myself.
Well, you seem very reserved, intelligent. You obviously hold an important job, also a job of accountability because you manage other people. So that isn't obviously a characteristic of you as a sober person.
Right.
But it is if you're drinking.
Yeah, completely if I'm drinking.
So,
and Minnie would attest to that.
Who?
Minnie, pretty much everyone.
Many people.
Yeah,
oh, okay.
Everyone that knows me would attest to that. Mm-hmm.
All right. Do you think that your parents' divorce had some negative impact on you that caused you to reach for the bottle?
Well, I think alcoholism, drug addiction's, predetermined in a bunch of different ways. I don't blame anybody. I am in recovery, so I know how this stuff comes about. I'm sure my mother, being a single mother, trying to raise a couple kids and working on top of trying to keep track of us, I'm sure she wasn't able to keep up. It's hard to say, really.
Yeah,
it really is.
You said a couple of kids, so you have an older or younger?
I have more than that now.
Okay.
At that point, there was me and my older sister, and then I have half sisters, and I had a half brother who passed away from leukemia.
Sorry,
God rest his soul. So yeah, I do have more now.
Anybody else in that sibling line with addiction issues?
Yes.
And don't
I believe
name
so.
names.
Yep. Mm-hmm.
No, but okay.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
So there's a genetic thing.
Yeah,
going
there's a
on
family
here.
history.
Okay.
Even before us. Generations back.
And you're a firm believer. Are you a firm believer that this is a disease that is carried genetically through one human to another?
I am.
Okay.
The disease of addiction.
Yeah, good, good. Well, it's just amazing, and I'm sure you meet them. It's amazing how many people I meet, mostly spouses or parents, who just think it's just, well, if you just put the bottle down,
right?
Just quit.
Yeah.
I'm not that way, and I drink. I can stop. I remember sitting with one husband. Oh, my gosh. It was probably over an hour, which was a long time with this guy. His wife's an alcoholic, and she has a challenge getting sober, and he just couldn't grasp that she can't drink like he can. And then I used the term allergic.
Yeah.
Just one of those terms we throw out. And I used the term allergic, and he looked at me and he said, allergic? You're telling me she's allergic to alcohol? Yeah. She breaks out in the crazies.
Right. Or handcuffs.
Or whatever it is. Yeah. And somehow he could grasp that. But the idea that she was not responsible for her drinking and what came about, he just couldn't put his arms around. But I don't know if he has now either, but I hope he has. John Peters is our guest, clinical supervisor for Powell. So, Kim, how many people does John manage?
I would guess about 20. Might be a little more or a little less, but I would guess about 20 people.
Okay.
Right now.
And is that the largest amount you've managed?
Yes, I believe so.
Okay. And do you like it?
I do. I really enjoy it. We have great staff. We all share the same compassion. I've always been more in that role, a leadership role. So I really enjoy that aspect of life, helping individuals get to a different point, or at least being there and providing guidance and hope and integrity and honesty like Kim shared earlier. So, yeah, I do enjoy it.
It seems that the most effective people working in recovery are people in recovery.
Well, I know we have both. So I'd have to say for some reason, you just really have to have a strong compassion for this field, or it gets a little stressful. It gets to be a little much. Do you have to be in recovery? No, but you have to have some sort of compassion. I mean, we're not all here just to get rich.
Right.
We have to love what we do, and most do, yeah.
John Peters is my guest. He's clinical supervisor at Powell CDC. Remember, you have someone you can call. 263-2424. There's a staff standing by right now to talk about what happened over the weekend, to talk about that person you care so much about, but you throw your hands up. You don't even know what it is, but you know there's an issue, and you just want to talk to somebody about it. Give them a call at Powell. We're coming back live here on RestoringHopeLive.com, powered by Webcast One Live.
From From the RE/MAX Real Estate Concept Studios, this is Webcast One Live.
A father who is headed toward another heart attack. A woman who struggles daily with diabetes and her memory. A boy whose headaches keep him out of school. A mother who one morning discovers a lump. A girl whose condition defies diagnosis. You come to us because you need answers, but you also need more. You need understanding of what you're going through. You need comfort. You need to be treated as an individual, not a condition. You need to be included in your own care. You are the point of everything we do. That's why we're changing to Unity Point Health. It's a model of care that will help us work better together, where the physician who knows you best takes the lead, coordinating your care through every step, from the hospital to specialists to rehabilitation, to health services in the home and in the community, to making sure the treatments are effective. By working as a team, we surround you with care, helping you manage your health and your conditions, guiding you to making better choices and living a healthier life. The point of Unity is you. Unity Point Health.
Hi, I'm J. Michael McCoy, and about 20 years ago, I went to a used car salesman by the name of John Hewitt. He had a little shop over there on North 2nd Avenue called John's Auto Sales, and I bought a car. I found that experience to be one that I had never had before from a used car salesman. He was honest, he was dependable, he had integrity, and he did what he said he was going to do. Well, over the years, between my kids and grandkids, I purchased 7 vehicles from John's Auto Sales. And last month, I asked him to be a sponsor. I can tell you about their huge selection. I can tell you about their years of experience. I can tell you about their honest integrity. But all I really need to tell you is that I bought 7 cars, and you can trust them. John's Auto Sales, 5435 2nd Avenue, Des Moines.
You need a good ride when you hit the trail. Trust the man with the cars, and he goes by the name of Big John. Big John. Big John.
Credit cards are like grandkids. They love you, sometimes get out of control, and it's fun to get a new one. Who can stop them from piling on?
Hi, I'm Tom Coates with Consumer Credit of Des Moines. At the end of the day, you can return the grandkids, but you're stuck paying off bad credit card debt. We'll help you put the fun back into using credit cards responsibly. Right, kids?
Yeah! If you need help getting credit cards off your back, call Consumer Credit of Des Moines.
From the RE/MAX Real Estate Concept Studios, this is Webcast One Live.
Restoring hope, open my heart to sing, taking the darkness inside, revealing your light, restoring hope.
Welcome back, Restoring Hope Live on this 31st day of August, last day of August. Today, a week from today is Labor Day. We'll be here with a program with Lila and Bob and our special guest. You enjoy the day. It's also available on podcast anytime you want it at macmccoy.com, MACMCKOY.com, or Webcast One. There's just so many ways to get it. Just Google Restoring Hope Live and go to the website and click on archives, and they're all right there. Every show we've ever done is right there on podcast for YouTube. It's all free, no charge. We just ask that you watch the people who support us. Right then, we had a Unity Point Clinic commercial, and then we had Tom Coates, and then we had John's Auto Sales. Or I guess it was John's first, and then Tom. If you are thinking about going to clinics and needing some help, please go to a Unity Point Clinic. If you are thinking about buying a good quality used pre-owned automobile, please consider shopping at John's Auto Sales. And if unfortunately life has brought you lemons when you just wanted lemonade and you need some financial help, check out Tom Coates at Consumer Credit of Des Moines. Kim Brangoscio in the studio. She is the manager at Powell CDC. Bob Montserrat, the cat in the hat, watching the chat. Anybody on chat saying anything interesting? Not just saying anything. It's got to be interesting.
There are people on chat, but they're not speaking.
They're not speaking?
Not yet.
Why not?
I don't know.
I haven't asked a question they want to answer.
You're probably covering a lot of the questions. So,
well, come on, people on chat. Give me a question you want to ask John. John Peters, who is the clinical supervisor at Powell. John, you've been sober for a little over 7 years, so that means you got sober at age 27.
Ish, yeah.
27-ish, okay.
Father's Day.
You're 34. Father's Day.
Father's Day.
All right, I want to get to that later. I don't want to get ahead of ourselves. So, 12 years old, you empty the pony keg, you wreck the house, you like the feeling, you like the buzz. Tell me what the next 5 or 6 years in middle school and high school were like.
Well, there was a little bit of seeking, but a little bit of calm, too. It really didn't start to pick up to a steady pace until I hit maybe my almost close to second year in high school.
Okay.
At that point, it was more predominant, so parties were filled with alcohol or pot or something.
Was it easy to come by alcohol and stuff?
It was fairly easy, surprisingly. You could go to a gas station and purchase, alcohol if you looked old enough. And there were some people in high school that looked old enough. So parents always had a stock, so we could always take from somebody's parents. And it was a pretty common thing at about all the schools I went to. And as you heard, I went to quite a few. And I was definitely known as that guy. So
that guy, meaning
the guy that was always drinking or always had some alcohol.
So would you drink in the morning on the way to school?
No, nothing like that. Just usually after school or after football practice or something. We'd always have a get-together at somebody's parents' house or a gravel road somewhere. Or we'd gather some way, shape, or form and have a keg or a case of beer or something. Mm-hmm.
Was it common back then for it not to be a big deal?
Yeah, I think it was less of a big deal. Like it is mostly today, but I think that's because of social media and maybe some of the other drugs that are on the market are a little more intense, and I think we were able to get away with more. I guess I'll put it that way. Mm-hmm.
Tell me about synthetic marijuana. Mm-hmm. I only know what I see on police reports.
Yeah, no, don't do it. It's really bad stuff. It's some of the harshest chemicals combined to marketed to young adults. So it's really scary.
All right, but you say that to a young kid, they're going to say, "Oh, don't do it. I'm going to go do it."
Right. That's true. That's very true. Especially if they're already an addict or close to it. You can't tell us to do anything. We'll do the exact opposite.
I've heard some of the I've just heard some of the chemicals in medical marijuana are so dangerous, and some of them won't leave. You'll get them in there in your fat tissue, and they'll be there for as long as you've got that fat tissue.
Yeah, there's from what I've heard. I mean, I'm no scientist, but what I've seen, there's a lot more long-term effects from using some of these synthetic compounds they're coming out with. A dangerous long-term side effects that just don't go away.
Now, Bob, you are a scientist, so you tell me about it.
Well, there's a difference between medical marijuana and synthetic marijuana.
All right, now hold on. Medical marijuana, isn't there something before that? Just pot grown out on the riverside? Or is that medical marijuana?
Well, there's ditchweed that is grown all around the ditches in Iowa because it was used here for the hemp purposes.
Okay.
But once you have it in the ground, you can't really eradicate it. It still springs up. But medical marijuana is marijuana that has been approved by the government in many states to be used for glaucoma treatment or other treatments that they deem necessary. Here in this state, they're trying to get it for these people that have these seizures, but they're not using the full components of marijuana. The THC, tetrahydrocannabinol, is the active ingredient. They're going with cannabidiol, which is another ingredient. There are many that are in the marijuana plant, so they're isolating it, or at least trying to, and that's what they're giving to the people that need that for seizures.
Bob, what do you say to somebody who says, marijuana is natural, it's grown naturally, doesn't God intend me to use this?
Well, I mean, they are doing research with marijuana. There is a lot of research out there. It's plant, just like opium, is grown, and they can derive different narcotics from that are used for medicinal purposes. But it's those people that abuse it that will synthesize different drugs from there, like heroin. And so it's the abuse of those drugs that could be helpful but are not. Right now, marijuana is not deemed federally. It's scheduled a Schedule I controlled substance, which means there's no medicinal value. But they're making the exception for medical marijuana. Now, Colorado, they're basically violating federal laws by legalizing or the marijuana there. And is it Washington?
Yeah.
Yeah, and Washington and some other states may be following. But I think from what I've been reading, they're finding problems with people that are using it, and there are, if you know that smoking regular cigarettes are bad.
Yeah.
And the research has shown is that even smoking without looking at the active, psychedelic, if you want to call it that, depending on the dose, it can act as a sedative, or depending on the concentration, it could be even worse than that. But just the components that's in the marijuana itself is not good for your health. If you eliminate any of the other.
And I'm not an advocate for legalized marijuana by any means, but nothing's good for us anymore. I mean, GMOs, beef, eggs, chickens, pork, depending on what we put on our vegetables. I mean, aren't we finding that type of poison in almost everything we consume?
Well, yeah, there's a big move to go organic and get away from the chemicals that are treating, things we eat. That there are problems with fluoride. It's not, they put it in the water. It's supposed to be good for your teeth. Research is showing that that's not really doing what it should, even in toothpaste. So I buy the toothpaste without fluoride because it is a chemical. There are many chemicals out there. I still have my fillings. I mean, there are so many things that I believe we are killing ourselves slowly. It's not a fast thing. It's a slow kill.
Yeah.
But if you look at it in what we're discussing here today, as in I've never had 3 tomatoes and then went out and, wrecked my car or was arrested. So if you look at, marijuana just in that sense, I could smoke a couple joints and go out and get in some big trouble. So it's the mood altering effect, I think, that is the big concern, and that's why it's such a dangerous topic.
Yeah.
And I actually fell into that story of tried that maintenance program thinking it was harmless. It came from the ground, but guess what? I ended up right back where I started real quick. So,
all right, John Peters is our guest today, clinical supervisor for Powell. So after high school, just regular consumption, no big surprises, no big red flags.
Mm-hmm. Now, by the time I finished high school, there was a lot of red flags. Through high school, I managed to complete and graduate, and I don't know how, but I did. But after that, you could definitely see a pattern, legal problems, relationship struggles, friends that, were probably seeing the worst side of me, trying to look for something in life that, I could fit in, but yet the alcohol and other drugs kept getting in the way. So I'd make some progress and then take, twice as many steps back.
How many OWIs?
I've probably got over, I know exactly how many I have. I have 5 lifetime OWIs.
Mm-hmm. When you say lifetime, what does that mean?
That means from the age of 18 to now, I've had 5.
Wow.
Yeah. Ever
fight that in court or no?
Oh, yeah. I've been in and out of the legal system, and I've been from allowing to have one dropped off in high school all the way to the maximum sentence, 2 years incarceration, family in the room, everybody crying. I'm off to prison. So
you went to prison for 2 years?
I did. I was only actually served 5 months because I got early parole for good behavior. Go figure. I'm not drinking. I'm a nice guy.
Yeah.
But they let me out in about 5 months.
What was it? Just an OWI, or was there an accident or anything involved?
Well,
injury?
It was all the previous history. Like I said, I was not a very sociable drinker, so I would get in a lot of trouble, whether it be altercations or arguments or fights or not being very friendly when the police department would show up on top of the OWIs. I don't have a felony, but I was charged with, I believe it's an aggravated misdemeanor, and the maximum sentence for that is 2 years, and minimum time to see the parole board is like 5 or 6 months.
So while you're in prison for 5 or 6 months, are you going through this process of, I'm never going to drink again, I've licked this problem, I'm not going to do this anymore?
I was the annoying guy in prison because I already had about a year of sobriety before I was sentenced. So I was already doing what I needed to do before I saw the judge, and me and the judge are friends today, go figure.
Yeah.
So I was the annoying guy in prison. I was kind of happy, you know, I knew what I needed to do in life. I was just there to do my time, and we started an AA meeting in the prison, but it wasn't a legitimate approved AA meeting, and it started going south, so I ixnayed that deal, but I was trying to help others.
Back up. What does that mean? I thought we got an AA meeting here, don't we? Just two of us sitting here deep into recovery?
Yeah, but sometimes it's just a good reason for people that don't want to do the right thing in life to get out of what else they could be doing.
Oh, okay.
And so, yeah.
Yeah.
Depending on your environment, you could be outnumbered.
So when you said you went to prison and you had sobered up about a year before, is that your sobriety date then?
2008, yeah.
Okay, so no relapses after that?
No.
Any attempts before that to quit?
Yes. My last treatment was not my first treatment. I tried to do it on my own. I tried the marijuana maintenance program. So I had many attempts to stop on my own. I actually went to my stepfather, who pretty much raised me, and I said, what do I do? I can't, no matter what happens, I end up drinking and getting in trouble again and again. And he's like, I don't know what to tell you, you just got to stop. And at that point, I sought out treatment again.
John Peters is our guest, clinical supervisor at Powell. We're coming back. What happened? What happened on that Father's Day? That's next here live.
From the RE/MAX Real Estate Concept Studios, this is Webcast One Live.
I'm Brian Leach, owner of Service Legends, and my position is Chief Talent Officer.
I'm Nicholas Wonderscheid.
I am Bernie Hobbs.
And I'm the Service Manager.
Marketing Director and Client Relations Manager.
Everything that we do is about ensuring that we exceed your expectations.
Our clients are important to us. 100% satisfaction.
We're not just focused on heating and cooling. That's the easiest part of our job, actually, is fixing furnaces and air conditioners.
Everyone that we come in touch with, we want to improve lives.
Bottom line is, we've got our installation guarantees, 25% energy savings guarantee, comfort guarantee, temperature selection guarantee, property protection guarantee.
100% satisfaction guaranteed, fixed rate or it's free.
All of those guarantees are backed up with a 100% money back guarantee to hold ourselves accountable to making sure that you get what you're after.
Just fixing the problem today. If they have another problem 5 days down the road, it's still fixed rate or it's free.
We use what's called straightforward pricing. Our technicians are going to give you an exact to-the-penny price on what it's going to take before they move forward with any repair. That way you know what to expect.
It's the same price every day.
No surprises.
If you get off work at 5 o'clock in the afternoon, you come home, you realize that, oh, my furnace is broken. Now you need to call somebody out that night. You shouldn't have to pay more for that.
We're guaranteeing service 24/7.
We run afternoons, evenings, nights, weekends. We're staffed to work that.
Phone rings at 3 in the morning. You'll get one of our representatives answering the phone every time.
We're not sending you out to Timbuktu in some call center. It's our Service Legend team members, our mission control team.
I'll take a call anytime.
And then they answer the phones the same way during the day as they do at night.
It's a great day at your service company. How can we make you smile?
That's the only way to provide true 24-hour service.
When you're able to let somebody actually live in their home safely when they weren't able to do that before, where they don't have to stay up at night and worry about, is the heat going to come back on? Are we going to freeze the pipes? Is the baby in the room next door going to be sick because they got too cold? When you're able to help somebody overcome challenges like that, that's impacting a life. That makes a difference. I get goosebumps thinking about it.
I love the team. I love the people that I work with.
We have fun, but we work hard.
I call them my ambassadors of legendary service. If you could just envision what that is, that's who we're sending to your home.
They literally will call in, pick up the phone and call and say, hey, I want to talk to your manager. And I get on the phone, they're like, that technician that was at my house was the greatest technician ever. That's cool to me.
We want to brighten people's days.
Every person that we have going into the house has gone through an extensive background check.
Drug testing, we have a very thorough interview process that 1 out of 140 people make it through.
If we promise you something, that's what you're going to get, no matter what.
We're here when you need us to protect the safety and comfort of your family.
If you're not happy, we're going to make it right.
If we're willing to put 100% money back guarantee on what we do, what type of work do you think we do?
Give us a call. We're there for you 24/7, 365 days a year.
Enough said.
darkness inside, revealing your light, restoring hope.
22 minutes before the top of the hour, Salem Radio Network News, and then at 3:03, the Steve Deace back in Afternoon Drive in the Market, live here on 99.3 The Truth. J. Michael McCoy's my name. My special guest is John Peters. He's a clinical supervisor at Powell, sharing his story today. Kim Brangosio, who's the manager at Powell, is also in studio, filling in for Lila Stafford, who's on another vacation. That girl gets more vacation time than President Obama.
I agree.
But seriously, is she that big of an all-star that she can just leap off whenever she wants?
She just takes a few days at a time, and it always falls on a Monday.
Yeah, she does that on purpose.
Yeah.
Bob Montserrat, the Cat in the Hat, watching the chat. And, of course, we're being produced today. You can tell because it's perfect. By Frank. That was a compliment. Did you catch that, Frank? It's a compliment. Okay. All right. So you get your 5th OWI. Mm-hmm. I'm assuming this was about 8.5 years ago.
Yes.
Okay. What happened with that OWI? Just a normal, got pulled over?
Well, I think...
you must have been barred from driving.
Yes.
Yes?
Yep.
Okay.
Every time. 6 years.
Yeah.
Yep. And every time I got lucky as well. But I was at home. My lovely wife was out of town. And I was at home in the basement killing a 6-pack and ran out of cigarettes. So I decided to go to the gas station at like 1 o'clock in the morning and get some cigarettes.
My.
Yeah. Brilliant idea.
Yeah.
And there it was, got pulled over again. And retained a lawyer, an attorney.
Now, when you called your wife
mm-hmm.
to tell her you had just gotten your 5th OWI, mm-hmm. what did she say to you?
At this point, she had basically had enough. Furious, just disappointed, hurt. Really, I don't think she had any idea of the consequences that were, could have come my way. Could have been a felony. Could have been, 5 years in prison. But she was worried. I'd been through this time and time again. I'd completed treatment before, so, probably in her eyes, as well as mine, hopeless, desperate. Mm-hmm.
All right, so you got hauled down to jail,
mm-hmm.
bonded out.
Yep.
Hired an attorney. What did he tell you?
Mm. Well,
quack, you're a dead duck?
Yeah, pretty much. He did have some hope in his voice, though, so I was at least inspired a little bit. It took me to a few different places, and we had a few court dates, and things started sounding positive that this one as well was going to be dropped to the bare minimum. And it was, really. They dropped, lowered the charges. Like I said, I wasn't charged with a felony. But at sentencing, it all just kind of came down, and, the judge looked at me and said, "Look, son, you've been here time and time again. As of now, it looks like you're a menace to society." And at this point, I'd already completed treatment. I had attained sobriety about a year. Well, at this point, it's probably about 5 months of sobriety. Doing everything I needed to do. And in recovery, we kind of know that it's not our plan. So he's telling me all these things, and then he says 2 years maximum sentence. It asked me if I had anything to say, and I said, you know what? At this point, I think I'm just going to go with whatever you think's best.
What are you doing for a living at this time?
I'm a general contractor, so I have... a construction background.
Okay.
So I'm basically running a company. At this point, I maybe had one crew besides myself. So.
Okay. Mm-hmm. All right, and you said there were a lot of tears in the courtroom.
Yeah, I had my wife there, and she was brokenhearted. I don't think we were kind of talked to about maybe a weekend at the most is what I was looking at. But like I said, the judge had looked at all of the evidence up until this point and the history and where I'd been and what I'd done, and probably saw that they'd already dropped the charges a little bit. and said, you know what, you need to go do some time. And I think he's right. I think it really is part of my story. I think it's really helped me to get to this point where I'm at now, meet some people and actually go to prison and see that most of the people there, you take out the alcohol and the drugs, and they're good people. They'll give you the shirt off their back, but put the alcohol and drugs in their system, and they'll take the shirt off your back.
Was there alcohol and drugs in the prison system?
I think there might have been, but I was in a pretty relaxed camp, and everybody was, at that point, had done some time and was maybe on their way out, or were looking at a really long stint. So the behaviors there were a little different. I wasn't at a maximum security prison where I was right next to a maximum security prison, and I heard there was lots of stuff in there, but I didn't see much.
Did you go to what people always refer to as a country club?
Yeah, it was definitely a country club.
Okay. All right. So that Father's Day, that was the Sunday that you decided at 1 a.m. to go get a pack of cigarettes?
No.
No.
That is a boating trip. So I've decided to stop drinking. You know, I need to get help, and I'm trying to do it on my own. I'm white knuckling it.
Yeah.
And within probably
for those of you listening, white knuckling means you're going to do it without a sponsor and without a program. You're just going to call on yourself that I can do this, which you can't do. I'm sure there's some people out there who have done it, but they are far and few between.
Yeah. Not for long. At least it didn't work for me. So white knuckling it, thinking I have things under control. And I had a decent sized speedboat at the time. My wife was working. Like I said, she was out of town for work for the last OWI. And a friend of mine and my wife, we'd all made plans to go down to the lake for the weekend. And she had to work late, so we left early. I get to the lake, and probably less than 4 hours later, I was arrested. With no plans to ever drink again. Yeah, on the boat.
So, hold on. So, you're sober. You drive to the lake. Somebody brings booze. And you decide why not. Do you remember that thought process? Can you take me back there?
Completely. I remember seeing a bottle of booze go into my boat. So the friend I invited had a bottle with him, and I remember catching a glimpse of that bottle going in the boat. Just never forget it.
And did you know at that moment?
I knew at that moment,
that bottle
at
was
that
yours.
exact point, that I was going to have some of that bottle.
And how long were you sober?
At this point, a couple weeks.
All right. And so are you pulled over in the boat?
Yeah, I'm in the boat. They had to come to the middle of the lake to get me. And again, I'm not a sociable drinker, so they weren't too pleased when they, found me. And that was the Father's Day, or the day before Father's Day. And then they arrested me, took me to jail in, I won't say the county, but they took me to jail in this county. And like I said, they were not happy at all. I woke up on Father's Day in jail, not remembering what had all taken place the night before. So, mind you, I have a giant speedboat and a family that was supposed to be in that speedboat. So at one point, I thought the worst might have happened, that I'm sunburnt, I'm bruised, I'm battered. I might have totaled my boat with my whole family inside of it. So that was when I really hit my knees, cried for help, had that, what we call spiritual
awakening.
Moment. Yeah. And that is when I knew that I was destined either in one direction or another. But at this point, it looked like I was destined to hurt everybody around me. And no matter what I did, I would always end up there.
But you didn't. And now you're 7.5 years sober.
After that moment, I toughed out Father's Day with everybody around me, bailing me out, coming to get me, knowing what had happened the night before. I toughed out Father's Day and tried to be, there for my kids. But in the back of my mind, I knew that something, way greater than me had to change. So.
All right, we're going to hold John over for just a few more minutes and find out the end of that story. That's next here live on Restoring Hope Live.
A father who is headed toward another heart attack. A woman who struggles daily with diabetes and her memory. A boy whose headaches keep him out of school. A mother who one morning discovers a lump. A girl whose condition defies diagnosis. You come to us because you need answers, but you also need more. You need understanding of what you're going through. You need comfort. You need to be treated as an individual, not a condition. You need to be included in your own care. You are the point of everything we do. That's why we're changing to Unity Point Health. It's a model of care that will help us work better together, where the physician who knows you best takes the lead, coordinating your care through every step, from the hospital to specialists to rehabilitation to health services in the home and in the community, to making sure the treatments are effective. By working as a team, we surround you with care, helping you manage your health and your conditions, guiding you to making better choices and living a healthier life. The point of Unity is you. Unity Point Health.
Credit cards are like grandkids. They love you, sometimes get out of control, and it's fun to get a new one. Who can stop them from piling on?
Hi, I'm Tom Coates with Consumer Credit of Des Moines. At the end of the day, you can give these grandkids back, but you're stuck paying off bad credit card debt. We can help you put the fun back into using credit cards responsibly. Right, kids?
Yeah! If you need help getting credit cards off your back, call Consumer Credit of Des Moines.
From the RE/MAX Real Estate Concept Studios, this is Webcast One Live.
Restoring hope, open my heart to sing, taking the darkness inside, revealing your light, restoring hope.
All right, we're back 10 minutes before the top of the hour, holding John over for just a few more minutes so we can finish the story. John Peters is our guest, clinical supervisor with Powell CDC. Kim Brangoscio here. She's the heavy. She's the boss. She be the man or the woman who's running Powell. And 7 months now?
Yeah, I think.
Do you like it?
Yes.
Do you?
Better every day.
Good. Bob Montserrat, the Cat in the Hat, watching the chat is here. And if you want to place anything on chat, feel free to do so. Remember, you now have a friend. Yeah, you have somebody you can call, middle of the night. Your son, your daughter, your dad, your husband, your wife, guy in your Bible study, your pastor. You saw something that didn't feel right, didn't look right, didn't sound right. And there was alcohol or drugs around. Or maybe there wasn't. Maybe it was just so out of character that you just thought, oh, that can't be. So call and ask. You don't have to use names. We don't trace your call. There's no ID. We're there to help, not hurt. So call Powell, CDC, 263-2424, and just talk to somebody and get the answers and maybe the help that you or somebody that you love needs to get. John, you said you were out in the middle of a boat, and they had to come get you.
Yeah.
Were you a reckless boater that day?
I was a reckless boater. I was a unsociable person, and just all around bad guy.
Term unsociable. What does that mean?
Well,
I mean, you're on a boat with friends and family. That's social.
Mm-hmm. There's just a point where I think you realize that you just can't have a conversation with someone, and then you probably try to cut ties with that relationship, and you tell them to leave or go away, and they don't. And that's kind of where I was at.
You didn't leave?
No, I didn't leave. I didn't want to leave, and I didn't think I was the problem. I thought everybody else was.
Right.
And I was out of it, I was way intoxicated.
And so they came, and as you said earlier, you are allergic to alcohol. You break out in handcuffs.
Yeah, fortunately. Yeah.
And if you talk to any police officer, they will tell you that the most difficult arrest next to domestic charges, domestic abuse, is someone who's alcoholic. Mm-hmm. Because they have come to understand they don't know what they're doing.
Yeah.
He's acting like a tough guy. He's probably a pussycat at home. Mm-hmm. She's whipping and screaming and scratching and yelling, and she's probably just a beautiful mother to 1 or 2 or 3 or more babies at home. It's the saddest thing they have to deal with.
Yeah.
And it sounds like you may have been in that.
Yeah, that was me.
All right, so you got through Father's Day.
I did.
And what was your commitment that you made to God?
That I was willing to do whatever it took, whatever he could show me to change. Like, I didn't care. I did not fear anything that he would put in front of me like I feared where I was at.
What would happen again?
Yeah, exactly.
Had you gotten to the point yet where you had realized that the consequences of your actions were not what you were afraid of? It was your actions you were afraid of?
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. That's neat.
100%.
We interview people, and there's that moment in which they realize it doesn't matter what happens to them. It's that they have to stop doing whatever they're doing because what happens isn't the consequence. The consequence is I keep doing this day after day after day. How does your story help the people that you help?
Well, I think of course it provides inspiration, but my story has many different pieces. Like I said, I tried the marijuana maintenance program, and that's where I ended up drinking again and right back where I started, but worse. I think a lot of people aren't sure if treatment's a good option, but honestly, that's what got me in the right direction. I think providing that hope and inspiration that not only can you stop using, but you can do much greater things. Like, you have no idea where your life's going to be. Because I had no idea I would be here and be a part of such a great organization, not to mention treatment center. So there's just so many different elements to it that I think people are really, really inspired and hopeful. And sometimes you wonder if you're the worst or the first. And I think when some people hear my story and hear some of the stuff that I did, it helps them feel like they're not the worst or the first, and that there may be hope for them no matter what they've done. So,
yeah, I was on the phone to. I'll conclude with you, and then I'll tell a little story. But I want to thank you for being here, and
thanks for having me. I think it's important.
Your daughters are lucky to have a dad like you. You know, right or wrong, it does make us better people.
Yeah,
it's a horrible thing to think of, that you go through this horrible low end tragedy, and without that, you wouldn't be the man you are today.
Very true.
God works in amazing ways.
Yeah.
Kim Brangrosio, thanks for being here. Thanks for doing what you, managing Powell and all those people and saving lives.
Thank you.
You know that's what you guys do, don't you? I mean, I know you're probably humble, but I'm going to tell you, you're lifesavers. You're modern day heroes, and your weapons are your wisdom. Yeah.
It's great to go to work every day and see miracles every day.
Experience, strength, and hope.
Bob, thank you for being here. Appreciate you being here. See you later on this week. I was just going to share with you a moment as we wrap up today that in a 12-step meeting the other day, we were on the third step. And the third step is to make a decision to turn your life and your will over to the care of God as you understand him. And as a Jesus freak, the as you understand him kind of bugs me a little bit, but I get it. A lot of people, when they come into this program, they're mad at God. They're drinking because of God. God has failed them. God has let them down. And so trying to follow the traditions and rules of a 12-step program, I don't say the J word very often, Jesus. When I do, I make sure it counts. And so we're in a meeting the other day, and the third step, and there's a lot of people who were talking about, well, I don't really believe in God. And the God of my understanding is my trees in my backyard, or it's my children. And I was just compelled. Believe it or not, I don't talk a lot at meetings. I know that's a surprise for some of you, but I listen. I learn a lot from listening. I talk for a living, so being quiet is a good thing. And I was compelled to all of a sudden say, you know, guys, even though you don't believe in God, understand he believes in you, and you can't change that. All the denial, all the anger, all the blaming, all the guilt, all the shame, you can't change the fact that God believes in you. Put that in your identity pack, would you? Don't put that you're a lousy husband or a lousy mother or a lousy grandmother or a lousy friend. That's not God telling you that. That's the accuser. God loves you. He loves you unconditionally. Jesus died on the cross so you would never have to be absent from your Creator's presence ever, ever again. So next time somebody tells you they don't know if they believe in God, just look at them with a smile and say, you know what? That's okay, because He believes in you. Remember to forgive, because as you forgive, you will be forgiven. I'm Mac. I'll see you tomorrow, or I'll see you at church.
Restoring hope.